Association for Dialogue and Affirmation of Monotheism is presenting to you next video.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. We may continue the second part of riba investment, avoiding riba and investing in halal funds.
Okay.
Do you have some experience which you can share in US?
I've been using either cash or interest-free loans from family members, primarily before I became a Muslim, because I didn't want the wealth to be consumed by riba, even though I didn't understand the concept yet. And I didn't see the point of working so hard for something just to be paying such a high amount of money for the consumptive cost of the riba, as far as on a personal level. But on a moral level, I was so angry with the banking system, and I didn't at first acknowledge my own sins regarding it, as far as consuming the riba that led to my loss, and attempting to profit from the dust of riba that led to my loss when I did have the foreclosure. And it took me some time to realize that I participated in these sins that led to my financial loss and to my financial failure and to the loss that I caused my family at the time. And so now I think of it completely differently. Alhamdulillah, I've been guided to Islam, and I have the benefit of reading Islamic principles, and not only to think about how I can profit, but how my actions are contributing to justice, and I'm not contributing to the problems that are happening around me.
How do you react to people who say, I have many problems, I don't have a house, I need to take a loan in the bank?
Wow. I understand the frustration that they're coming from, but also, in my opinion, and may Allah guide us all, but that would be like saying, I need money, so I went and took a gun and robbed a bank, or I did a sin, I committed some sin for financial profit. Okay,
I'm sorry, I need to be their attorney. They say, no, it's allowed. We don't do anything illegal. It's everything legal. We just go take the bank charges us the loan, which is normally we say it's something which will imprison you and put you in their service. But how do you explain them what to look for?
So in a secular sense, then the legalistic definition would be okay in the secular sense, if they're trying to absolve themselves of guilt. But even if they're participating in the secular sense, by ignoring the principles of the Islamic teachings, it creates bubbles in the markets on a secular level. So it definitely includes price inflation through that means, and their actions are contributing to the structural enslavement of other people. So,
did you say enslavement?
Yes, through a structural sense.
Can you explain us more, because somebody doesn't see himself enslaved in this, like it's my will, but why he became a slave in this system?
Because it creates this economic structure that we're all suffering for. So if for example, we are at Judgment Day, I wonder in my own mind, and may Allah guide us all, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but I would think when we're being asked how less than 1/10 of 1% of the human population could enslave the rest of the human population, will we sound like we even have a rational excuse to our Creator when we say, oh, well, everyone else was doing this sin, or, oh, well, I had to because this small minority of financial manipulators made me do it.
But that is say, okay, we will manipulate the banks now. I will take it and I will run to another country. They think like this, but they don't seem to understand that now there is no chance. It's globalism.
Okay, well, in my opinion, that would be like a shoplifter who steals from from a marketplace of some sort. Let's say they steal a tool or food or whatever, and then the socialization of the prices, the markets are just going to compensate for that and say, okay, we're going to have to charge everyone else a higher price for that. And instead of creating an ethical alternative, and instead of participating in an ethical alternative,
So the
because we
principle
are
in Islam, like because the sign behind many Islamic principles, we need to stick to the principles. And what's the
um,
ethical principle here? Please acknowledge.
okay, so we're we wouldn't be participating in the consuming riba um, is perpetuating that structure. And so our short-term convenience in that aspect would enables the structure to enslave everyone else. It makes it to where it's commonplace for the entire structure, because instead of standing up against that immorality,
Yeah.
we're participating in it.
Many of the
If we
Islamic scholars forbidden even to have bank account because they are using riba. And I understand this, but I don't think they live in a situation when people cannot get their payments, they cannot get anything, salary, if they don't have a bank account. So how to avoid this in modern society when it's cashless becomes very dangerous to don't have a bank account. Maybe you end up in street and not using cash.
so okay, here even in the United States, we cannot transact for a lot of things just with even paper dollars. They, uh, for example, if you brought $250,000 to an escrow company to say, I want to buy this house, they're going to take the money and they're going to have the FBI come and talk to you and make you prove that you earned the money legitimately, paid taxes on it legitimately, everything like that. It becomes prohibitive to where,
It's same in
and
Europe. It's same everywhere, I think.
yeah, so the bank accounts and blockchains are similar in the sense that they are wanting to show like the history of how the person earned that money, um, legitimately or illegitimately, and they do it as a control for the population,
The flow of
and
money.
the flow of money, and to prove that you have the money legitimately in your account, um, or if you didn't earn it legitimately, at least you paid taxes on it, and then they don't care. so so maybe
Even
the
if you
money
do
is
it by a letter, you can lose the letter because now the system is checked everywhere. Even you cannot do the cash in regularly across the states, only in the state between some workers. I don't know.
right. And so inshallah, if we start with what we can, and we don't allow the system to get more oppressive in this manner, but we would have to by taking accountability on a personal level for our own actions, so that we're not making the situation even worse in the structure that we live in. And then if we do that and we're taking the moral responsibility wherever we can, then we can work on changing the policies, and changing the businesses and creating alternative financial structures to where we can do that in an ethical manner, to do it the halal way.
It's interesting. I'm sorry because you mentioned we can do it, and there is a notion in Islamic guidance that if you don't have something with you, you cannot trade with it. Even the money, if you don't have the money with you, it's very discussable. How can you trade like digital money, digital currency? It's a different topic which we can open in our next sessions and the dangers which are coming from that side. But in ethical manners, how can we sell something which we don't have? Like drop shipping and this kind of stuff. So there are many questions which open, and hopefully, inshallah, we can develop in it. I see your reasoning, but we need to have some way out of this, like you said, on the personal level. And what's the next level which we can I don't know. Do you see the society changing in this?
Um, right now, I actually see the society getting worse than this, because most people don't see a feasible alternative. And so I think it's really important for uh, people like us who understand what our responsibilities are, we need to work even harder, and we need to face the difficult situations and do what's morally right so that we can show other people how it can be done, and so we can use our personal experience in order to do that. And then at the point where we become financially stronger, then we can be then we can create the financial alternatives to the challenging situations in the markets right now.
Great, but the thing is, the people cannot change, like you said, because the society is pushing them toward, because they have the laws and everything, and they say cashless society, riba-based society. They say that you have to be in some connection with the state, and this is riba, the first connection, which you cannot outflow it, because you have to have the social security number, you have to have everything. So what are your thoughts about this?
Okay, I understand what you're saying. I also have to have my social security number, or if I started a business, my EIN, which would be like the social security number for a business. It'd be like an employer identification number in the United States. And so, yes, we have that connected to whatever property or financial transaction that we're doing. And so, unfortunately, I do believe that that takes us, because we don't use gold and silver or do the trade that we're supposed to do on an ethical level, and we're using the fiat currency, which is the
You buy gold and silver to have in your property now?
You can buy gold and silver in the United States, and you can keep it physically, but no one transacts with it. So people would not even be able to understand what the gold. I mean, it would be like going to an extra layer in the transaction. In order, like, let's say I wanted to say I want this amount of gold or this amount of silver to exchange for a piece of real estate or a house, for example. It it's not common. It's not commonly practiced. In fact, I've never heard of it being done here in the United States. And so it would be ideal to be able to move to transactions like this in the future. But and so I think what we have to do is act in the system with what we can do right now, and then try to move it, instead of it being moved worse in the wrong direction, to try to move it in the right direction as we're able to.
Can the community invest now in halal funds?
Of course they can, but
I mean,
people
the
would
Muslim
have.
community which you have, for example, in Oregon, can they invest in something halal and they keep it like their community? Is there any way to do it?
So, right now, I think that as individuals in the community, I don't think that we have a large understanding of what we can do as a community versus as an individual. So I think individuals evaluate what their options are in the markets here in Oregon or in the United States in general. But there is I think that we would be in the learning stage as a community in Oregon, or there might be some experts that are individuals, but it's not widespread throughout the community, and we're not networking like other religious groups to the extent that they do, where they're building their communities up. I think that we need to, I mean, first, as we're learning, we're doing it as an individual, and then try to spread that to success by networking with other people in the Islamic community. Like there's certain other religious groups, whether they're, I just won't say the names, but there's certain other religious groups that network with each other, and they create strong business alliances with each other. And I think that we're in the learning stage in the Islamic communities in Oregon and in the United States in general.
Yeah, we should mention to the listener, to the people who are listening to our podcast, that using debit card is preferred, not credit card, because credit card immediately put you in some loans and interest based. Also pay off debts quickly, so you don't stay like you are looking for months and months to pay off, because there's always a chance they use your money to lend, to do some interest based. Also avoid interest bearing accounts, use checking accounts of non-interest bearing saving accounts. seek guidance from the scholars, financial advisors, consult Islamic scholars, financial advisors. There are some ways which people can earn. I think you already know about this. Real estate investment. What can you say about this?
So we do have a structural corruption with the fiat currencies, especially the US dollar. And so every day that we hold on to a US dollar, we know that it loses more and more value because of the system of usury and or riba that we have in the United States. And so if we don't use it for something productive, and we just hold it, because it's currency and not money, it loses the value to inflation, and we will lose it through this unofficial tax called inflation. So if we put it in real estate and we look at real estate that is undervalued or real estate that has the potential to gain value through forced depreciation, like let's say we fix up a house and then it's worth more money because we fix it up. Well, that's an ethical way of building wealth. If we do it through just speculation, my personal opinion is that it would not be an ethical form of wealth. But
I'm sorry, you said speculation on the renovated house or speculation in the market?
Oh, speculation in the markets. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So if we just so if people choose to use like you could ethically buy it as a hedge, like let's say you're earning a substantial amount of money through whatever business that you have, and you wouldn't necessarily have to do forced depreciation. You could just buy like properties that would rent well, and in that sense you'd be providing a service to the community because you would be in a strong position financially. You wouldn't have any debt, you wouldn't have that financial risk, and so you would be solid, and you could rent at a market rate or below market rate as a form of sadaqah and as far as contributing to market stability. So I think that would be ethical. But on the other level, if someone is using where they're not participating in the ethical way, then they would be contributing to market instability, to price bubbles, and making the entire structure more difficult for everyone else in society. And that's what this does.
I know that you have great experiences, and I want one great example in your history, success story about investment and without riba, so people get to know how it's good, how is a successful story from the start to end.
Okay, so one house that I purchased in the past, after my negative experience with riba, and I wasn't a Muslim yet, but I didn't want the banks to profit off of me, and I didn't want to put myself or my family in that level of financial risk. And so I chose to buy something small that I could pay for cash. And it took me about 3 years to earn and save that money to do so. And I could have made the excuse at the time, oh, I need to buy this. I need to go to a bank or some type of financial institution that gives me a loan. And I could have made any excuse I wanted for riba. But fortunately, alhamdulillah, the pain that I experienced from the financial loss that I committed upon myself and on my family, the financial loss and the mental devastation it did to me and the mental pain that I experienced from it, at the time, I thought it was terrible. And now I realize that is the greatest thing that could have happened to me, so that I will never commit that sin again. And so if someone ever said to you, oh, Bryan is gaining from riba or something, you could automatically laugh because you know that the pain I experienced was so bad from the stupidity of my mistake that you know that they would be mistaken in what they say, because I would never put myself.
Will say that we are stupid if we don't work with interest-based banks, and so it's the other way around. We have to explain this.
Okay, so once I removed myself from the sin of riba, at least to the best I could. I still have bank accounts, and so I asked the banks, okay, I want to have an account, but I can't participate, I can't consume, uh, um, receive, or witness Riba.
Yeah.
And so if they say, okay, we have to give you interest on your money, and there's not a way around it. So what I do is I take whatever that amount is and I donate it to some type of a charity if I can't find the solution that would just not do it in the first place.
Yeah.
Am I committing a sin? Maybe I am. I'm trying not to. I'm doing my intention is not to. And so then I take whatever that amount of money at the periodic times that they pay it to me, and then I donate it to something right away so that
For example, there are people who are, I don't know, they're paying for electricity bills and they're in some debts. Also, people should use this money to something which is not in their possession, but they can pay off some people who are in debts, and it's a good method. Even we don't get the reward, but we are free of riba. And maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because our intention is to help people, will get reward because we are helping people, nothing else.
Absolutely. And so inshallah, inshallah, with our intention to not participate in that sin, we can make things better in our societies. One raindrop will make a difference very slowly on its way to becoming the river that pours into the ocean. And so if we take the responsibility with the small things on a personal accountability level, then if other people also start realizing this mental concept and they do it, if it spread throughout the Ummah, it would change the world. And everything that we complain about, or at least that I complain about, I don't know, maybe it's just me complaining about it, but the effects of colonialism, the effects of capitalism, the effects of socialism, the effects of every corrupt financial structure, every corrupt moral structure, well, if we do what we can, participation on something as small as a raindrop, if we spread this knowledge to the Ummah as well, to where a substantial part of the Ummah begins participating in it, a huge change could happen across the entire global structure. For example, like Russia used to be a communist nation and it has many challenges, but I believe that they are allowing Islamic finance in Russia now. So if they're allowing it, okay, that's a great start in that country. That's better off than a lot of things happening in the United States. In the United States, we have very limited options, and we're going to have to do it from a grassroots community-based system with some people doing it intensively to try to create the foundation for the alternative financial structures so that we can get out of the riba system and that we're not enslaved by it.
It's interesting that you mentioned United States, Russia, and some other countries, but the thing is, even the non-Muslim majority countries, they are not accepting this way. You have Albania, we have Kosovo, we have Macedonia in some way, which is not majority Muslim, but there are huge Muslim population. Also in Turkey, also in some other countries, they are trying to lower the interest rate. But the thing is, they ask, how do you think, how can this happen? You don't have interest. They don't realize other ways. They are not educated enough. And this is the message from today podcast, which is the danger of riba, the way out of this situation, and the people should be steadfast and using their knowledge and not to be afraid to tell people we object interest, we object this stealing from banks and from the people. They have in our country, in every corner you can get money with ID card, but they can go to your house tomorrow, block everything, take your money, because only for, I don't know, for $300, $500, they're looking for five times this amount. And they say, take your money, don't lose your time, you know. Take this money, it's easy money. But people, it's like gambling, you know. They lose they lose their life, they lose their stuffs, and they are objectively, like you said, when you say that they are slaves, they become slaves of this. And I know that this also have other dangers. When you lose money, you lose hope, you become depressed, you lose your faith, everything. So if you want to put you in danger, then this I say money which are from the devil itself given, so you become enslaved in this kind of routine. Your freedom is not to own money to anybody, not just to the banks. But if you have to own it and you have to take it from the person you trust, from the person, from the I don't know, from association which we don't take interest money. They say, okay, take it and invest it, and we want you to succeed. I know there are less this kind of options, but you have to find it, you have to struggle, and you will be rewarded for this struggle in these times of difficulties.
Absolutely. And also, if someone thinks that their challenge is great when they need money for something, it's going to be their problem will be multiplied by accepting that money. So however difficult that challenge is that they believe that they face right now, it will mathematically become exponentially a greater problem when they have less options and they have debt associated as well, especially with a loan shark mentality of whoever the lenders are coming after them. And so they will create a much bigger problem for themselves by participating in this riba, especially in those extreme cases like going to the corner and accepting money from whoever is offering it. Well, those people are doing it because not out of some type of altruism or community involvement or something like that. It wouldn't be as an act of tzedakah under any circumstance. It's going to be an act of where they are looking to that person as a method of profit and dehumanizing that person as a method of profit. And I think it would go very badly for that person who consumes that riba.
We have only 2 minutes straight for this podcast, but I want to just to mention that we know the regulation Islam, where we are at war with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we take riba, but there are different opinions and madhabs and schools of thought. Some of them, it's not most of them, prohibited, and they said about dangers, but there are some scholars which allowed in special circumcision. We want to rethink these people who are minority in this, that we have to say that guidance is in the Quran, and we know the danger of riba, and we have a person like Bryan who was led to Islam by rethinking his life and accepting the message of Quran, which was very strict and very precise to him. So when we have this kind, do you have some last minute words to those people who want to go to riba?
Learn as much as you can, seek the Islamic guidance, and if you're not even thinking about it through the Islamic guidance, think about it on a personal level. What do you want to risk for you and your family? What do you want to put yourself and your family through if you make these mistakes? Think about it carefully. In previous times, and even probably now in the modern era, I don't know, but people fought and died for their freedom. Why would you participate in your own self-enslavement?
Great, great. Jazakallah khair. May Allah reward you, Brother Bryan, and give you best in this and that world. And may this message be widespread to all people in the world. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The danger of riba.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you.